All right, good afternoon, everyone. We'll begin today's formal meeting of the Phoenix City Council. The invocation today will be given by Reverend Harold Stromer from the Shepherd of the Valley Lutheran Church. Reverend Stromer, are you here? If you can, please stand.
And let us pray. Almighty God, bless the public servants in the government of this state and city, that they might do their work in a spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice. Help them to use their authority to serve faithfully and to promote our common life. Gracious God, bless our city and make it a place of safety for all people, rich and poor. Give us grace to work for a city where neighborhoods remain vibrant and whole, where the lost and forgotten in society are supported, and where the arts flourish. Make the diverse fabric of the city a delight to all who live and visit here, and help there to be a strong bond uniting people around common goals for the good of all. Drive us from cynicism and selfishness, grant in your mercy just and honest government, and give us grace to live together in unity and peace. Bless the leaders and citizens of our city and land, that we might be at peace among ourselves and a blessing to other peoples of the earth. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend, very much. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Vice Mayor Jim Waring.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the city clerk please call the roll?
Councilman DeCiccio.
Here.
Councilwoman Gallego.
Here.
Councilman Gates.
Here.
Councilman Nowakowski.
Here.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Here.
Councilman Valenzuela. Councilwoman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Waring.
Here.
Mayor Stanton.
Here, would the interpreter, Judy Holm, please introduce yourself for the benefit of the audience?
Buenas tardes, me llamo Judy. Si alguien necesita intérprete, por favor venga conmigo o con el personal de la ciudad. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Would the city clerk please read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G5948 through G5952, S41179, S41180, and S41184 through S41208, and resolutions number 21254 through 21261.
Thank you very much. Councilman DeCiccio, did you have the opportunity to review the August 27, 2014 formal meeting minutes?
I move their approval, Mayor.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Do we have a motion on the mayor's boards and commission nominations?
Move to approve mayor's boards and commissions.
Second.
Nominations.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a motion on the council members' boards and commission nominations.
Move to approve the council members' board and commission nominations.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. Do we have members of the public here to be sworn in? Thank you very much. To my right, your left, we'll have the swearing in ceremony. After the swearing in, please come behind the dais here, and the individual council members would like to thank you in advance for your service to the people of Phoenix. Got to keep going around because we'll swear you in, and then I just want to get you to swear in. Oh, sorry. But I can pull Please raise your right hand. I. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution. Of the United States. And the Constitution. And laws. Of the state of Arizona. That I will bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. And defend them against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And impartially. Discharge the duties. Of the office of. According to the best of my ability. So help me God. Thank you for your service.
Congratulations, thank you. Thank you for appreciate it. Likewise. Congratulations. How are you? Congratulations.
Thank you. And you are? Hello. I'm Carol Joyce. Congratulations.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks all in advance for your service. It's very, very important. The next item concerns liquor licenses proposals. Do we have an omnibus motion regarding liquor licenses?
We have 5 that are being pulled out, so I'm going to do the rest. I move items 1 through 25, with the exception of 5, 18, 19, and 23. Leonard Clark, and he'll speak about all of them at once.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We do have a second. I see 4 cards here. All appear in favor, not wishing to speak, so we'll make sure you get registered for the record. Do we have any comments by members of this council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item is item 5, and Mr. Clark, I understand you want to testify in each of these items. Do you mind testifying all at once, or do you want to do them individually?
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Leonard Clark, and I'll do them all at once. And thank you for letting me have the right to speak here. My name is Leonard Clark. I live in the city of Phoenix. Was born right down the street at Good Samaritan Hospital, but I now reside in a beautiful District 1 of Phoenix, Arizona. I just wanted to say I strongly support, I hope you'll support these special event applications, liquor license special event applications, especially for the American Legion. As a veteran, I'm not officially part of the American Legion, but I've been down to the Veterans Administration building on Central, and they're one of the few veterans organizations, and no offense to the others out there, that still see veterans on a walk-in as needed basis. So I hope you'll support that. I'm also for the Phoenix Lesbian and Gay Pride Committee Incorporated having their special event, the Human Rights Campaign liquor license, with all of the intolerance and hate that we have sometimes towards members of our community. I think people should take note of these events, and I hope you'll vote and go there and vote in favor of that. And then there is one other, actually, for the Horses Help Foundation. I've seen this program and heard about it. It looks like it does miraculous things for people who using horses. So I hope you'll vote for all of those. Thank you very much, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. Do we have a motion on those items?
I move items 5, 18, 19, and 23 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. Next item is item number 26. That's a liquor license application in which our professional city staff is recommending disapproval. It is in Councilman Pastor's district. Councilman Pastor, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to hear a short staff presentation on item number 26?
Yes, I would.
Could we have a staff presentation?
Thank you. Mayor and members of the council, this request is for a new Series 12 license for a restaurant doing business as El Rey Restaurant Mexican and Seafood. This location was previously licensed for liquor sales as El Rey del Marisco and is currently operating with an interim permit. Consideration should be given only to the applicant's personal qualifications. Staff recommends disapproval of this application based on a police department recommendation for disapproval. The applicant has not demonstrated the capability, reliability, and qualifications required to hold and control a liquor license.
All right, thank you very much. Councilwoman, there are two people wishing to testify in this item. Do you want to hear that testimony before we make a motion?
Yes, I do.
Okay, the first one will be Mr. David Aguilar. He's in favor of the proposed liquor license. Mr. Aguilar, are you here? Do you wish to provide testimony? Please come forward. Please state your name for the record, and the question I have is, are you the applicant?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so please state your name for the record and then provide your up to 2 minutes of testimony.
Right. My name is David Aguilar. I am the owner of El Rey Restaurant. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of City Council, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I'm here to hope that you approve our application because we're looking to restructure our restaurant to not focus so much on the liquor portion, but we don't have the assets to immediately make that change. And unfortunately, we do need to rely on liquor in the meantime to be able to make those kinds of changes. So that's why we're here hoping that you can approve our license. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the applicant, Mr. Aguilar? We also have Detective Washburn from the Phoenix Police Department, who's here to provide testimony in opposition to the proposed liquor license. Detective Washburn, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Detective Sean Washburn, City of Phoenix Police Department. I have an opportunity to conduct a background investigation on this liquor license, and what I discovered was that in September of 2013, the Department of Liquor Licensing and Control ordered Miguel Aguilar and Dioselina Aguilar, husband and wife, to surrender their restaurant liquor license at 3328 West Van Buren Street for failing to maintain 40% of their profit from food. They were actually only making 24% of profit from food, essentially relying almost completely on their liquor sales. Instead of leaving the liquor business as they were ordered to by the liquor department, the applicant, David Aguilar, who just spoke, submitted a new application and placed his mother and father as managers to the restaurant on the application. Mr. Aguilar has a full-time job and will not be leaving that job, but will be allowing his mother and father to run the restaurant. This obviously the Department of Liquor had a problem with the first time, and essentially nothing's going to be changing. As you just heard Mr. Aguilar speak, they will still be relying on the liquor sales to support their business. I have spoken to him extensively, and he does desire to change the model, but he can't give a timeline or anything concrete as to when that's actually going to happen. And I believe that that's what the liquor department was trying to effect when they ordered the suspension of the liquor license and gave them 6 months to restructure and find a new owner or essentially go out of business. The failed business model includes late night hours, focusing on the alcohol sales, music, karaoke. The establishment has a elevated stage, a stripper pole, and a large amount of music amplification equipment for the music and karaoke that I mentioned. It's for these reasons that I've asked that you deny this license. These issues were discussed with the applicant, and we're told that we had concerns with him placing his parents back on as managers, and we feel like he's not capable, qualified, or reliable to hold a license. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Detective Washburn. Councilman Pastor, anybody else? Do you have any questions for Detective Washburn?
No, I'm clear with it.
Okay, would you like to make a motion then, Councilman?
Yes, I motion to disapprove item 26 based on the police department's recommendation of disapproval. Concerns with possible hidden ownership, the applicant's failure to provide full financial disclosure, and concerns to operate like a restaurant. The applicant has not demonstrated the capability, reliability, and qualifications to hold the control a liquor license.
Okay, so a motion for denial.
Yes.
Councilman Williams has seconded that motion. Any additional comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. So the motion to deny is successful, so the applicant have a chance for a hearing at the State Liquor Board, but the recommendation of this council is to deny the liquor license. Item 27, there was a request to withdraw that item. Do we have a motion to withdraw item number 27?
Move to withdraw.
We have a motion to withdraw. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Now we're going to have a public hearing. Item number 28 is a public hearing on the proposed Broadway Road, also known as Avenida Rio Salado Project, Area 1A and Area 1B annexations. Item 28 and 29 are those public hearings. Mr. City Clerk, do I need to do separate public hearings on each of them? I can do a single public hearing. I am now going to open the public hearing on items 28 and 29. Do we have any cards on items 28 and 29? Is anybody here in the audience wishing to testify on items number 28 or 29, the proposed Broadway Road annexations, Area 1A and 1B? Going once, going twice, gone. So we're going to close the public hearing. There are no motion today, I believe. Okay. Next item on the agenda is old business, item 30 and 31. They're combined items over a very related topic, an IGA for storage, recovery, and exchange of Central Arizona Project water between the City of Phoenix and the City of Tucson. We'll take item 30 first and then do item 31, which is a very similar agreement between Phoenix and Metro Water. Before I go to the cards, can I get a motion on 30?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to make the motion to approve this. I think that it's very innovative and makes Phoenix and Tucson a leader.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Leonard Clark, did you just provide testimony on item number 30, the IGA between City of Phoenix and Tucson?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Leonard Clark. I live in the city of Phoenix, but I travel frequently back and forth between City of Tucson, Phoenix, and Flagstaff. It's interesting watching their council meetings. I think this is great, what you're doing. I hope that you vote for this. This is good planning. We are having droughts infrequently. We are a desert. And the fact that you're getting together with the City of Tucson to do this shows you're looking into the future. I mean, people can't believe that we have all the water that we do, thanks to a guy named Theodore Roosevelt and some forward progressive people at the time. And I think what you're doing is doing just that. Now I just hope you can approve and get a light rail between Tucson and Phoenix and get our economy going and get rid of that little 2-lane strip of highway that's always causing traffic jams going out of Phoenix to Tucson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. I appreciate it. If we're successful in providing transportation between Phoenix and Tucson, it will likely be high-speed rail, not light rail. But I appreciate the sentiment. I know what you were talking about. Okay. So we have a motion in favor of 30. And that was the IGA between City of Phoenix and Tucson. We have a second. Any additional comments by members of this council? We said a lot at an earlier press conference today. Mr. Manager, I just want to say that, number one, I appreciate the support of the colleagues of this innovative, creative way of solving a very, very important issue, and that is storing water, preserving our water rights, and really planning for the future of water. And we have a superstar on our staff, and that is Catherine Sorensen, our Water Services Director. And if this is successful, and I believe it will be successful, Catherine, appreciate your incredible level of professionalism. This is great stuff, exactly the kind of thing the City of Phoenix should do to be a leader. All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 31 is a very similar arrangement, IGA for storage, recovery, and exchange of CAP water between the City of Phoenix and Metro Water, which is another water service provider in the Tucson area. Do we have a motion on item number 31?
Move approval item 31.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that item passes unanimously. Mr. City Clerk, are we prepared on the issue of omnibus motions for ordinances and resolutions?
Yes, Mayor. We have cards on items 32 42, 56, and 62. And we also have cards not wishing to speak on items 33 and 34.
33 and which one?
33 and 34.
Okay, so let's,
I'm ready if you are.
what's that?
I'm ready if you are.
Let's do 32 first. And just take the cards that have speaking items, and then we'll get to the omnibus when we get to the appropriate items. Item 32, do we have a motion on 32?
Move approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I have 3 cards on item number 32. Mr. Lazarus, did you provide testimony on item number 32? Please come forward up to 2 minutes.
Mayor, members of the council, for the record, my name is Larry Lazarus. My office is at 420 West Roosevelt, Phoenix, Arizona. I might ask, is there any cards in opposition?
I do not see any cards present in opposition.
I will be then very brief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very quickly, the purpose of this application, the sole purpose of the application, and we had a slide thing, but we can skip that. The sole purpose of the application is a request to remove the special permit to allow the uses on the C1 underlying zoning. This is not really a rezoning. We initially placed a special permit on it that was not a rezoning. It was adding a category for a specific use, and that was some time ago. Eliminating the special permit is also not a traditional zoning category. It merely allows the reasonable use of the property with the use of the underlying zoning. As a matter of fact, cities' practice today is that they usually, under special permits, include the underlying zoning allowances, uses, to carry forward. It wasn't done then, but implicit in those older permits was the ability to continue those uses. And what we're asking for is merely that. We have the support of the North Mountain Development Plan has been passed by the City of Phoenix in 2013. We meet all of the requirements and goals of that particular plan for this area. This is a blighted condition presently. It's an old, abandoned castle that is no longer being used, and there has been some degree of graffiti and poor lighting and bad enforcement in the area. With that, the owner is coming in and is going to be putting in about $4.25 million in improvements on this site. This will be for administrative offices for DES, and I accentuate administrative offices. We have a list of those administrative offices if you wish to see them. There's only going to be about 20 visits per day, according to DES, to the site, and there'll be over 200 employees that will exist on the site. We have letters from DES indicating the minimal use for the general public. Ingress and egress will be off of 19th Avenue, and we will be landscaping totally around the site, including property that we don't own, but we have permission, which is next to a volleyball court, volleyball facility. They will allow us to put landscaping in there, which meets the criteria of the city for the 19th Avenue conditions that we're requesting. We have substantial neighborhood support, over 100 signatures. Several of them, most of them are within the 600-foot area. We have a planning department recommendation for approval, indicating we are consistent with the character of the area, the general plan, and that we are on an arterial. It is an appropriate use for C1 uses.
We could
I'm sorry?
wrap it up.
Wrap it up. And that's all I have to say.
Now that is wrapping up a style. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it. All right, we have Marcia Wiedmark.
Thank you, and I apologize for the delay. My name is Marcia Wiedmark, and I'm here to represent myself, my company in this area, as well as the North Mountain Business Alliance. And our mayor and the council members, thank you for the time to speak briefly. I'm definitely in support of this zoning amendment or change, as you so choose to call it. One of the important things I would like to state for the minutes is we did at first have reserve about this change and use when we heard it was related to DES, because we assumed it would be a lot of jobless, homeless people coming into our area, which we currently have plenty of and we need less of. So to speak briefly, please continue with all of the favored improvements to our 19th Avenue area for the North Mountain business, not only our area, but the whole development designation that you, Mayor Stanton, and the council did honor us with. We want to see this area be thriving. We believe this use of this property will be a great improvement. Thank you.
Mayor, if I might.
Councilman.
Mrs. Wiedmark, just wanted to say thank you very much for coming down today, and I really want to thank you and the entire North Mountain Business Alliance for all that you have done. You guys have been superstars in the area, and thank you for your personal service both on the village and on Plan Phoenix. Thank you.
Brian, speak. His last one. Okay, Brian Cloft, have you spoken yet, please? Up to 2 minutes.
I'm Brian Cloft. I happen to own the office building on the southwest corner of Cholla and 19th Avenue, as well as a rental house about 2 blocks west of the proposed property. I'm completely in favor of it. The building, the way it had been over the past 8 years, which is how long I've owned the office building next door, has been one of the most rundown properties in the neighborhood. I look forward to the revitalization of this building to help kick off more revitalization of other properties around there, and will just greatly improve the entire neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we have a motion. Did we have a motion already in favor of 35? I mean 32. We have a motion in favor of 32. We have a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes.
Mr. City Clerk, Daniel Valenzuela is online here. Once again, I'm voting yes on it as well.
Okay, your support for the motion is registered.
I just, yeah, thanks, Mayor. I know that I've been skipped over times. I just want to be sure. Thanks.
I think we are receiving your information, so I think we're good on that. It may be a little bit delayed, but we're okay. At the request of Councilman Williams, who has to leave the meeting early, I think she wanted to participate in item number 35. 35 is the Sky Harbor Terminal 3 modernization, design, build, construction contract. Do we have a staff presentation, or we just go right to?
Mayor Aviation Director Danny Murphy and City Engineer Kenny Knudsen and Assistant Aviation Director Tammy Fisher can make a brief description of this item.
We'll make a brief description, please.
Mayor and members of the council, item 35 before you today is a request for us to enter into a construction agreement with Hunt Austin, a joint venture firm that was selected by the council last year for the Terminal 3 modernization program. This construction contract for just about $103 million is for the component 1. You'll recall that we are talking about 3 components. This is the first component for the terminal processor, some enabling projects, relocations of airline, ticket counters, city staff, etc. And that's what this particular request is for.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions of our city staff while they're here? Councilman Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. We heard great detail about this in the subcommittee, and this is a project, I believe, that was delayed for the last 2 weeks to be heard today. And I just feel that it's very important that we continue to grow that airport and to improve Terminal 3, so eventually we get rid of Terminal 2 and this is going to impact our economy in a very positive way. I would hate to do anything that would change the terms or increase the cost. So I support what you have before us today and move approval.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion for approval.
Mayor, I have a second substitute motion.
Councilman Nowakowski?
Yes, Mayor, you know, I want to make a secondary motion to continue this for another 2 weeks. This is a very large amount. We're talking about about $600 million. And I have some additional questions. Nothing problematic, nothing to really stop it, but I'd just like these questions to be answered. And, you know, I recently received some concerns from people, so I'd like to have some briefing from the staff. You know, I would like to know the opportunity to have the opportunity to ask the staff these questions. You know, it's a very large amount of money to be spent. I'm hearing that we're going to be moving employees out of their offices, that there's potential disruption of workflow. We're looking at purchasing long-leaded items, and then we're going to be relocating airlines. And we're talking about November, December being one of the busiest times of our airport. So I just really want to sit down and look at a timeline with our staff and make sure that we're doing the right thing, and that we're, with that $600 million, that's a lot of money. So at this time, I would really like to entertain a substitute motion so I can get those questions answered.
Okay, so we have a motion for, the original motion was to support the item. The substitute motion is for a short continuance. How long of a continuance are you asking for, Councilman?
We're asking for about 2 weeks, Mayor. Our next formal.
Okay, so you want to do a continuance to our next regularly scheduled formal meeting of the City Council?
That's correct, Mayor.
All right, so we have a motion on a continuance.
Second.
We do get a second on a continuance. All right, do you have any comments or questions on that motion, Councilwoman?
Mayor, I would like to ask staff, will that increase our costs in any way?
Mayor and Councilwoman Williams, a 2-week continuance would cost about $1.9 million. That is in terms of staff cost for the design build team, the Hunt Austin team, city staff and extension of city staff, as well as the construction escalation cost.
Okay, so any other?
Mayor, I have some comments to our staff about that.
Mayor.
Of course.
Mayor, item number 36, we're talking about the allocating $11 million for this building design. So I'm not sure why we're even actually making moves or even doing any changes right now until we get that design approved. I don't think a design's been approved by the city. I don't think there's any type of merchandise or equipment or anything that should be being bought until the design is approved by the city on what needs to be purchased and what type of design we're going to have. So I think that I'm going to be approving that next item to extend that $11 million for design, but I don't think it's explain to me, Danny Murphy, how can we actually start expending money with a design not approved yet?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, I'm going to ask Ms. Fisher, the Assistant Aviation Director, to talk a little bit about the design build project delivery method and how the design continues while construction is taking place. So she could just take a few minutes to describe that.
Mayor, Councilman Nowakowski, one of the benefits of the design build process as well as CM at risk is that construction can begin while design continues. And so for this project, even though we intend to begin construction in earnest following the busy season at the airport and the Super Bowl, there are long lead items that need to be ordered. There are provisions that need to be made to either relocate staff and airlines and concessions out of the way so that construction can begin, and also utility relocations to prepare for demolition. As well, there are members of the construction team who no longer can bill for design phase services under the design contract and need to move into the construction contract. At this time, there is no construction contract, so continuing the design will not allow the project to continue on schedule, because we would not be able to order long lead items and prepare for the construction to begin following the Super Bowl.
All right, thank you.
Another follow-up question. I still don't understand how another 2 weeks is going to really increase that cost. We're talking about 2 weeks from now. I'm making sure that we're doing the right decisions, making sure that this body of council members are informed about the timeline, about how our workforce is going to be moved around to different offices, how we make sure that we continue being the most friendly airport in the country with all this construction going on. We have the biggest event in the world, the Super Bowl. And I just want to make sure that people going through our airport continue to have that experience of the most friendly airport in the world, not just in the country, but in the world. So I just really want to sit down and have those questions and sit down with your staff just to make sure and to guarantee that we will continue having that experience and that customer service that people expect from Phoenix Sky Harbor.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Were there other comments or questions by members of the council?
Mayor, this is Councilwoman Pastor.
Yes.
My question is I'm not clear on why 2 weeks would cost $1.9 million. In the sense that if the details, there's always the details. And if we plan and we move ahead, this contract's going to come back in 2 weeks. There's a plan for it. And I just don't imagine why it would cost $1.9 million. And so for me, it's very important to understand what is happening in the future. This is a large contract, and we need to understand what a very clear understanding in the details of what this is going to look like. So I just want to know why it would cost $1.9 million. It's a 2-week delay. I believe we could get to where we need to get to right before the Super Bowl.
Okay, thank you very much. Any additional comments by members of this council? Let me suggest something, because I understand the sentiment. I know Councilman Williams has to leave, and I think Councilman Nowakowski's request is in good faith. I think this is a very important decision. I think he wants to make sure he is fully informed before making this very important decision. Would it be, first off, how long staff, first off, Councilman Nowakowski, in terms, can you hear me?
Yes, Mayor.
In terms of your, obviously you want a much more significant briefing. It's probably going to be a very long briefing. I'm assuming you'd be able to be available over the next few days to have a significant briefing of this nature?
Correct, Mayor.
So at risk of inconveniencing people, but this is an incredibly important issue, would it be possible for us, I know the council members are not available in person, but maybe via telephonically, to schedule a short meeting early next week that would allow Councilman Nowakowski to get the briefing that he is requesting, but allow the council members to participate and make this important decision? Councilman Nowakowski?
Mayor, that sounds good. If it fits in all of our calendars, I have no problem with that.
I know some people will be in Mexico, but we would try to time it so that way they can call in on Monday and participate. I think everyone, with the exception of the ones that are requesting this continuance, have the information that they need.
Mayor?
Mayor, I think 2 weeks is appropriate time to make sure that if we have any follow-up questions, that our staff can actually come back and answer those questions for us. So I don't think that 2 weeks is really going to hold back this project, and I'd like to keep with my original motion of our next formal meeting.
All right, Councilman Williams?
I was just going to say, on Monday, unless it was early in the morning, I would not be available. for the rest of the week.
Okay, so you're not, so Councilman William, you're not available next week? I'm trying to, as reasonably as possible, to have the wisdom of Solomon here, if you will, and try to accommodate Councilman Nowakowski, who's made a very reasonable request relative to asking for continuing so we can get more information. But, Councilman? How about as soon, I mean, would you, Councilman Williams is not available next week?
Mayor, can we keep the original motion and wait till the next formal meeting?
We can. I'm seeking anybody else, any other advice on how to handle this, this dilemma, Councilwoman?
Is there a small amount we could award that would allow you to move forward working but postpone the major contractor decisions? I mean, could we, I don't know if we could do a partial, like award next week's costs so you could
Mayor and
bills for a week?
Mayor and Councilwoman Gallego, this particular item is to award the construction contract. We have no construction contract with Hunt Austin, so I would defer to the city attorney, but we don't have a construction contract.
City Attorney, do you have any thoughts on this that you feel comfortable reporting?
Mayor, Councilmember Gallego, if in awarding the construction contract, you would have to go back and, because the cost is a material term, to the extent that it's amended, if the council authorizes that with an amendment, changes the motion, then you would have to actually go back. There's already been one amendment to the original motion, and so under council rules, you can only amend it once. So it would have to be reconsidered. So at this point, you couldn't amend the original motion, is what I'm saying. So procedurally, you couldn't change the award amount.
I think what the councilman was asking, separate and apart from the procedural issue, is the substantive question. Again, I think she's trying to show the wisdom of Solomon here, is to allow the project to move forward, still give Councilman Nowakowski time to get the briefing that he needs.
Beyond the procedural, Mayor, Councilwoman Gallego, yes, you could amend the original construction amount, but I don't know now procedurally. Legally, without the procedural impediment, you could amend it, but now because there's been a motion and a substitute motion, you couldn't actually, under the rules, change the amount of the original award.
I think we understand the procedural process that we are in. The question is, assuming that we didn't have the procedural hurdle, substantively, could we do what the councilwoman is suggesting that we do?
Yeah. Well, there's practical implication. Legally, yes, you could absolutely change the amount of the award, but you would have to go back and negotiate that. I mean, to simply just say we'll authorize this say any amount without the implications on the project, it would be difficult to know. So you would still need to go back, find out by how much you were wanting to award it. It just creates a number of legal and factual issues.
Mayor?
Councilwoman, please.
Is it possible to phase in pieces? You hear me?
Yeah, we got the question. I think the city manager is looking at who is the appropriate person to answer that question.
Well, this is the city manager, so I think there's a couple things here. One, this is a phased project, so this is the first large phase. Okay. I think the other question, as I'm looking here, would ask the city engineer, it would strike me that probably by the time you would figure out how much it would take you to do the 2 weeks and then negotiate that, you'd be through the 2 weeks.
That's correct. Items 35 and 36 go part and parcel together. As the city manager noted, This is a phased project. So item 36, which moves forward with the design phase services as part of this design build contract, that does continue the design phase services, but because of this breaking point of having the first phase move into the construction portion of it, there are staff within this large design build team that we have assembled. It is the largest project going on with the city at this point in time. So there's a large team engaged on this to be able to put them onto the construction project to get moving on that. That's kind of this natural phased break point right now.
Mayor, I have a question.
Councilman, please go ahead.
Why is this holding up the design of this project if we vote to continue this for another 2 weeks?
Mayor, Councilman Nowakowski, it is because of the phase, the way that the items 35 and 36 were negotiated and put into place at this point in time for council approval. It has certain elements in each one of those, and at this point, the delay doesn't allow us to continue with some of the staffing of that team in the design phase services. Moving it to the construction phase is this time, and then also there is, like I said, a monthly cost of this team being on board, and so then delaying that keeps us from being able to pay for all of that staff under the design phase services. So even if you were to look at moving forward with item 36 and not 35, it would only fund a portion of the team, and by the scope of the project and what's going on with these different phases, you cannot fund some of this work under design phase services contract.
I'd like to call the question on this.
All right, so if called for the question. All right, so there's no second. I want to see if there's any additional questions by members of this council.
Mayor, I just have a question.
Please.
The motion on the table, which is, I want to make sure we're clear because there's been a lot of dialogue, is to continue it for 2 weeks. And then what is the primary motion? Is it to move it forward without any changes?
The original motion was to support the item. The motion to continue was made by Councilman Nowakowski, who is asking for a 2-week continuance.
So the changes are on this part of the motion. Is that correct, that you're looking to add on, or not you, but that individuals are looking to add on potential changes for this continuance?
Well, I mean, no one made a motion in that regard, but that's part of the ongoing dialogue. I think people were trying to figure out a way to give Councilman Nowakowski the additional time to get the questions he wanted answered, if we could do it in a shorter period of time than a 2-week delay, and there were some other creative ideas. So those have been bandied about, but no one has specifically made a motion at this point.
And then the original motion is to move it forward.
Correct. Yeah. So, So the current motion on the table is a motion for a short 2-week continuance. The original motion was to support moving forward immediately. Councilman, do you have more additional questions, Councilman?
No, just so you know, I appreciate the fact that individuals want to continue this and get more information. It is a big contract. I fully get that. I just don't feel comfortable with that motion of continuing this for 2 more weeks, and I'm going to be supportive of the original motion of getting this thing forward, Mayor. It doesn't feel good, and I don't feel comfortable with it, and I just think that we ought to just get this thing going.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Gates?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question for staff. So we've just done a 2-week continuance. What did that cost the city?
Mayor and Councilman Gates, there were no cost. The project was continuing to work. We had contract authority through yesterday, so it continued to work under the terms of the contract.
Okay.
No additional cost.
Thank you.
Okay. Any additional comments by members of this council? Councilman Nowakowski?
Yes, Mayor.
So the issue again is if you're able to get the information you need in a short period of time, could we call a special meeting next week? Could we allow the flexibility in your motion to call a special meeting so that way we can move forward with this as quickly as possible after your questions are answered.
Mayor, I'd like to continue until the next formal meeting so that we all have scheduled that formal meeting so we don't disrupt our council members in any way.
All right, would we be able to schedule a special meeting, or if it's set for a certain date, that is the date certain?
Mayor, I'd like to keep the original motion of the next formal meeting.
I hear you. No, I apologize. Yeah, I'm asking a quick question of our professional staff.
Mayor, I'd like to call for the question.
Second.
Mayor, you may schedule a special meeting. We'd have to post it, and it'd have to be called, but you can call a special meeting, but that would have to be a council action. No, you cannot. If the maker of the original motion is not agreeable to a change to his motion, then no, you cannot, because there's already been one amendment under the city council rule.
No, I'm not. Mayor, I didn't hear a vote on that. Was there a second on that call to the question?
I second.
Yeah, it's time to vote.
Okay, so we have a call for the question. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the call for the question. So now is the time for a voice vote on the question about a continuance, a 2-week continuance. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Mayor.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a roll call vote.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
No.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams.
No.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
Yeah, so the motion to continue for 2 weeks passes on a 5-4 vote. Procedure, I'll see if we can move more quickly with the meeting next week if we can get one scheduled, if the councilman can agree. Next item on the agenda is item number 33.
Those cards are, we could move omnibus, including those. Items. I mean, we can do them separate, but we can do them collectively, right?
Okay, so Vice Mayor,
Want me to do the
what's your,
omnibus?
yep, please.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. So I move that items 33 through 69 being ordinance number G 5948 through G 5950, S 4117-9, S-4418-0, and S-41, excuse me, 18-4 through S-4128, and resolutions 21-25-4 through 21-26-1, excuse me, be adopted, except items, we did 37, so 37A, 37K, 37Z, 42, 53, 55, 56, and 62, and noting items 37U is requested to be withdrawn. Items 43, 68, and 69 are requested to be continued to October 15th, 2014, and item 62 is corrected as well, and excluding, and that's it. Be adopted.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego. Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams. Mayor Waring.
Is that me? Okay, sorry, just checking. Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval item 37A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on 37A. Councilman Valenzuela, did you have comments on 37A? This is the Compass Career and Business Solutions for the Hives. Okay, so we have 37A. We have a motion in favor and second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval items 37K.
We have a motion 37K.
Second.
We have a second. Comments, Councilman Gates?
Yeah, I had questions for staff on this item. Mr. Burke, this item, $16,000 to purchase 3 25-foot storage units. So we didn't have any other, well, first of all, no, we don't have 3 other, storage units somewhere that we could use for this already somewhere in the city?
No, I did not. They're all in use.
Okay. And, now, have we bought these already?
Yes, sir. We bought them on contract. This is a payment ordinance to pay it.
Okay, so we bought these, so again, this is, this shows that, in my opinion, that we need, it puts us in an odd situation where if we don't vote for this item, then we're breaching a contract. And again, this is why we've been trying to pursue some reforms in the system. But I'm really, having said that, I really struggle with this. Again, in this environment where we're looking to save every dollar that we can, that we don't have we don't have storage units anywhere in the city of Phoenix.
Councilman Gago?
The contract is with Mobile Mini, and I was very excited to welcome them to the city of Phoenix. They are going to be moving their corporate headquarters to the city of Phoenix, bringing 300 jobs to District 8. So thank you to our economic development folks for your assistance with that location. And they also have had a lot of experience with mobile storage recently. We had a lot of people in the district who had to move out of their homes due to the flooding, and there were many competing products, and some of them flooded again, but Mobile Minis withstood the second and third flood. And so it seems like a great product, and I'm glad that you chose Mobile Mini and will be voting in support of this item.
And Mayor, let me add, I am pleased as well that Mobile Mini is moving into the city of Phoenix. That's great and great work by economic development. But to me, that's not what this is about. This is about a situation, again, in this environment where we've made the purchase already, and literally, we need to be looking at how we're spending every single dollar right now, more than ever. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Oh, Councilman DeCiccio, please.
Oh, just really quick, I'm going to echo the sentiments of Councilman Gates. It's not about moving in here. It's not about Mobile Mini. It's about purchase of storage units. And they could be anyone, storage units. And at some point, as a council, we have to start drawing the line, whether it sends a message, doesn't send a message, but these approvals, before they come to us, it just doesn't make me feel comfortable. I love the way Parks is handling most of everything that they do. They do a great job. They did a great job during the storms. Jim, you've done a fantastic job, but on these procurement issues, I'm going to be voting no on this, only because I just don't think it's the right thing for us to be doing when it comes to procurement. We've been trying to fix this. Councilman Gates has been working very hard on this issue, and I'm going to be a no because at some point we got to draw a line.
Thank you very much. Other comments from members of the council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
No.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Is it 6-3 or 5-3? We lost it 5-3, so it passes by a 5-3 vote. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval item 37Z.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on 37Z. Any cards? Roll call.
Oh, Mayor, if I
Councilman,
might.
I apologize.
So this item is to spend $25,000 to buy new plastic library cards to replenish the card inventory. And Councilman DeCiccio and Councilman Nowakowski several months ago asked for a technology summit, and I know all of us here have been supportive of that, and we're looking forward to it. This is the type of thing that we ought to be looking at. In 2014, we're going to spend $25,000 for library cards. A lot of people have smartphones.
They could put their library cards on their smartphones. So again, this is another example. I'm a big supporter of the libraries. This isn't about attacking the libraries, but it's about starting to push ourselves. And I appreciate all the work staff has put into this technology summit, but these are the type of things we need to use the smartphones just the way that private industry is. We're using it in so many ways. Keyring, for those of you who are familiar with that app, could have your library card on there and save a few $1,000. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilman?
Following up the work that Councilman Gates has been doing with technology in the city, which has been off the charts fantastic. We had a great one, great meeting, what was it, about 2 weeks ago, Bill, with Juan Hernandez. He was one of the cabinet ministers of Mexico. But he's right on this one. What if we were just to pull this off the agenda and have staff come back, Bill? I want to get a thought from you on that, with alternatives rather than using these cards. I agree with you. It's like, why aren't we moving in that direction? And why aren't we using $25,000 to create some sort of opportunity or app that allows people to do?
Okay, thank you very much. Are you requesting a continuance to get more information on it, or
I want to get a feel from Bill on this, because he is head of the technology subcommittee. Unless this is required to have immediately, I can't see how you need it today. I'd like to hold off on this and see if there's just get staff to come back with other ideas.
Yeah. Mayor, I'd be willing to make a substitute motion for continuance.
Sal, if we hold off, it costs us $1.9 million. So don't.
Oh, well.
Just kidding.
Mayor.
Hold on a second. I think that Councilman Gates has made a substitute motion for a continuance.
Correct.
Do we have a second for a continuance so that Councilman DeCiccio can get the information he needs?
Well, not on my end, but I'd like to have our office, and I'd like to have Parks work on an alternative to this and come back with some options to the council. And the only way we're going to get these things done, see, a lot of these things that come to us, Mayor, are done because they're just routine. The only way to break that routine is to get, and staff has been always doing a fantastic job, but even on these types of simple items, to get them to start thinking, is there another better way that makes us better, faster, smarter than our competitors? And so I don't think it's a big deal to send it back and have staff come back with some alternatives to all of us, not just me.
Okay, so okay, so the motion on the table is to support the item. Councilman Gates, in light of the commentary, has offered to do a substitute motion for a continuance. It sounds like you're asking for a motion to deny. I'm just trying to figure out.
I'm asking to make the continuance long enough for staff to come back with some options. Would that work for you, Bill?
Yeah, I'm fine with attaching a reasonable date to for the motion for continuance.
All right, so can we do maybe, well, I'm looking for our professional city staff on where this is. How would this, 2 weeks is enough?
Mayor.
Just a moment where our professional city staff coming forward, and they're going to give us some thoughts as to how urgent this issue is.
May I have some comments on that?
Mayor. Hello.
Yes, I'm sorry, Councilwoman?
Mayor, I would like to know if it's possible for staff to look into using the $25,000 towards technology and modernizing our systems. And if we have to purchase the supply plastic library cards, it's not in such a big bulk that we can train, if we can get the technology that is needed and train those that have the technology to start using it, and those that don't then get the plastic card.
Okay, so professional staff is before us, and we're going to ask for them thoughts and advice about the urgency of this matter. Please.
And Mayor, while they're getting up there to talk, I have some comments.
Okay, they're here to talk. They're already in front of us. So let's have the professional city staff first, and then Councilman, you'll be after.
Thank you.
Mayor, members of the City Council, James Scarborough, Finance Procurement. This contract is being requested authorization for expenditures to go into its last term. So the contract has been extended, but there's no authority to make additional expenditures under the contract, so that would be the basis of this request before you now. In consulting with the library, it is possible to take some additional time and provide you with additional information with regard to the cards and their intent to use these services or alternative services in the future. But at some point, we would need to revisit the authorization for this contract if additional cards are purchased throughout this last term.
2 weeks or 4 weeks? 2 weeks or 4 weeks, Tammy? October 29th, Mayor, would be acceptable.
Okay, so at the request of staff, the substitute motion will be
November 5th.
a motion till November 5th. Can you live with that?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Nowakowski, you had some comments?
Yes, Mayor, I was thinking that I also sit on the on Bill Gates' subcommittee, and some of the things we were talking about is that we have a Parks and Rec card that people are using. We have different cards for the bus. We have a library card and other departments that use cards. If there's some way somehow we can look into a universal Phoenix card that can actually cover the library, maybe using our rec centers, our senior centers, and all the different departments in one card and create a Phoenix card, I'd like staff to look into that and how much money we would save by having a Phoenix card.
Great idea.
Okay, so Councilman Nowakowski has suggested a creation of a Phoenix card. Councilman Gates?
Yes, and I just wanted to add, Mayor, don't forget, Vice Mayor Waring would be upset if we didn't mention the resident golf card as well, Councilman Nowakowski.
I think we should name it
a
after
tough crowd
our
today.
Vice Mayor.
Mayor?
Councilman, please.
I represent many individuals who do not have smartphones. Will this in any way prevent them from using our public libraries, which are for all individuals, even those who do not have smartphones?
Councilwoman Gallego, Mayor, members of council, it could have an impact if we went completely electronic, but there probably is a happy medium we could come up with where we roll out some sort of e-card while providing still the regular cards that we're all used to.
And if we do not pay this bill right now, in the interim, we have plenty of plastic cards for people who need to access the library or who wish to access the
For
library?
the next few months. We have an inventory for about 3 months.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is to continue till November 5th. There have been a lot of ideas about how to best proceed moving forward. Go ahead.
Mayor?
Do we have a second on the motion to continue to November 5th?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman DeCiccio?
Yeah, and I think what you're hearing from the council is just come up with some different ideas on this, and I totally get what Councilwoman Gallego just said, because there are a lot of individuals out there that just don't have a smartphone to be able to tap into it. But the idea is to be able to get into and transition out of these types of items that we have at the city that we buy. And it's not only this, but it's other things. Councilman Gates brought up the issue about how we use paper at the city of Phoenix. Are there better ways for us to use that? So I think this opens up, and it's an encouraging discussion for council and for staff, is to look at everything that we do and find out, is there a better way to deliver that service? And then as we transition out, we can still use the cards, maybe not stop buying as many. So I think this has been a great discussion, and I think it leads into the technology discussion that Councilman Gates is having.
Okay, I think those are all excellent points. I think we've had a lot of ideas presented. We have to make a decision about what to do with these proposed library card inventories, library card for replenish the inventory now. So Councilman Gates has made a motion till November 2nd, is that correct? 5th, I'm sorry, November 5th.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pastor seconded that motion, noting all the comments, the excellent comments that have been made. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Councilman Gates.
Yes, item 42, move approval.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on item 42. Item 42 is proposed Phoenix Central Station Development Agreement with Smith Partners. And this proposal is for the city to support a very large residential development in the heart of the city. We have a few cards on that item. So the motion is in favor. We do have a second. That was in favor. David Kreider, do you wish to provide testimony on this item?
Thank you, Mayor Stanton and members of the City Council. This is truly a great time for downtown Phoenix, thanks to the hard work of the City Council, the hard work of the business leadership, the hundreds of neighborhood and community leaders who have poured their blood, sweat, and tears into our downtown. And we really are beginning to develop an extremely vibrant place that whose economic success, I think, is helping the rest of the city of Phoenix. The project that you're voting on today is very, very unique. It has the capacity to create a brand new neighborhood, perhaps in excess of 600 people on a very constrained urban site that's underutilized and isn't generating any revenue for the city of Phoenix. It's walkable to work, it's walkable to school, it's walkable to light rail, restaurants, art galleries, sporting events, etc. I think it's also extremely positive that there is such a strong, viable development team that's willing to invest their own resources to try to bring this really complex project to fruition. I think, as we all know, on these downtown sites, especially with high-rise development, it's very expensive in terms of dealing with the constrained situations, dealing with the undergrounding of utilities, et cetera. I think the proposal that staff laid out is an extremely reasonable way to move this project forward. There's no current revenue from the site. It's a deal that's structured to provide financial resources to the city in the future. And perhaps as important, there's no city resources in this project unless the development moves forward. So on behalf of myself and Downtown Phoenix Inc., we support this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kreider. Ms. Barker, did you just provide testimony on this item?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Diane Barker, and I'm in District 7. I will ditto Mr. Kreider's remarks. This is the kind of project that we want to see. I've used that area in public transit, but I've thought it's underutilized, and now we can get the highest and best use. The developers coming in, $82 million mixed-use development with high-rise and retail. Adding up the different revenues, it looks like that for this will, over a 25-year period, be getting about $30 million in, and we've got some other positive sharing of savings with utilities, and then there's an exchange in the property improvements of $2,500,000. I think that Rick Neymark, who's deputy manager over transit, deserves a kudo, and Paul Blue. And you know, I'd like to see the city get involved in more of these kind of projects. We can do it, and we have the land, and with our land, even if it's small piece, we can encourage development and partnerships to bring in revenues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also note for the record that David Roderick, President of Downtown Phoenix Partnership, is in favor of the proposed item. Thank you very much, Mr. Roderick, for being here. That's all the cards that I have. Quick question for our professional staff. As this case has been going through the system, there has been discussion about how to make sure it's as walkable as possible. We want to make sure the building works not just well for the residents, but also works well for the neighbors who are going to be working, walking by and interacting with this building on a day-to-day basis. So, Mr. Blue, maybe you talk a little bit about the work that our professional staff has done to ensure walkability for this building.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm going to introduce Scott Sumners, Deputy CED Director, who has led the efforts to work with the community to drive just these issues.
Thank you. Mayor, council members, this focus on walkability and making a project that's great at the street level for pedestrians and bicyclists has been at the core of this project from the beginning. We visited with the Citizens Transit Commission. They are very interested in what the experience is like from the transit passenger standpoint, transitioning from light rail to buses or between buses, and from pedestrians just walking by. The neighborhoods, Roosevelt, Evans Churchill, Downtown Voices, through and through, are very focused on the landscaping, the sidewalks, the signage, the lighting, key elements like this. And I'm happy to report that our developer that we're recommending for this project, Smith Partners, has developed 9 of these projects, very similar towers in Chicago, and the focus has been on walkability there as well. We have not really got underway in terms of design, and we are absolutely committed, as is our developer, to make sure that walkability and the pedestrian experience and the bicycle experience is at the top of the list.
Excellent. And so we'll have a third-party design review entity that includes representatives from the neighborhood that will have the full opportunity to participate and review and provide input and ultimately approval of the proposed walkability of the project.
That is correct, Mayor and members
Excellent.
of council.
Yeah, I'm excited about that element because as we design our downtown and plan for our downtown, as we improve our built environment, it's about the people inside the buildings, but it's equally about the people outside the buildings. And I appreciate the fact that this project could be a gem in terms of getting it right in that regard. All right, we have a motion in favor. We have a second.
Hey, Mayor, I have some comments.
Please, go ahead, Councilman.
Mayor, I'm very excited about this project moving in District 7. This is a project that's a win-win for everyone. It's bringing much-needed residential to downtown Phoenix and including parking and commercial space. I also value the feedback of the Design Review Committee and look forward to hearing their comments. However, I want also to ensure that this project has no type of, that has a fair pathway towards completion, and that our office, District 7, and the committee members of Downtown Aviation Subcommittee receive regular updates on the process and also any feedback given by the Design Review Committee. I'm going to be voting yes on this. It's exciting, and thank you for your hard work, Mayor, in making this all happen.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Roll call.
Mayor,
Councilman, please go ahead. Go right ahead.
Just a quick comment. The developer, the owner of the property is a fantastic builder and done fantastic work in Chicago and has decided to make Arizona their home now with this and other projects. And just as an explanation, I think the project's fantastic, but I have generally opposed JEPLIT, or they're basically tax breaks for individuals. So I've been very consistent in that, and that's why I'm going to be voting no. It's not about the project. I think the developer, the owner of the property has done a fantastic job. It is literally about the tax break.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Other comments?
Can I ask a question?
Please.
So how much does the tax break cost us? Is there a way to determine that, and if not, why not?
All right. So the question is on the proposed JIPLIT, that if this is approved, would be granted to this developer for this residential project in the heart of the city. Vice Mayor is asking about the analysis done by professional staff on the cost of that.
Mayor, members of the council, I'm going to allow Scott to help answer that question.
Thank you. Mayor, council members, this property right now is a city-owned property that generates no property tax at all. This development agreement actually will bring a portion of that property onto the tax rolls and generate net new property tax in addition to a lot of other revenues over the terms of the agreement.
Thank you very much. This is maybe a little bit of a unique one because it was city and I guess with federal financing, but government-owned property that is now going into the private sector hands.
That's correct.
But we could sell this property. We could just sell it, and then it would move on to the rolls, and whoever would do with it, what they're going to do with it.
Mr. Russo, the question is, could we just sell it without the proposed development, just sell the land, move it from Central Station to a potential other use?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, because of some obligations to the federal government, we cannot wholesale sell the land. There needs to be retained, and Maria Hyatt could speak in more detail, but fundamentally we need to retain some degree of measure and control as required by the Federal Transit Administration, and so there will still be transit functions on the site, and those are required to stay on the site by virtue of the grant assurances that the public transit system has signed up for when we received grants that funded this as well as the balance of the transit system.
So, and I would associate myself with Mayor, Councilman DeCicco's comments. It's nothing about the project. I've always been against this method of financing, but it sounds like you're saying in this particular case, it might be difficult to do something else.
Mayor, Vice Mayor.
Fair statement.
Vice Mayor Waring, yes, we still have a public transit need on this property, and that was one of the stipulations that we put in the request for proposals, is that public transit need must be retained and must be retained on city and federally owned property.
So right now, you couldn't sell it. You're not collecting anything on it. Sounds like this is probably the best alternative. Again, I have qualms about this particular technique, so I'm going to take a pass on this one, but I understand how we got to this point. Thank you.
Mayor, may I do a follow-up question?
You may.
The question I've got, you're saying that, well, why would you need a tax abatement if no taxes would be provided on the property anyway? Because that's what I heard staff say. So once the building gets built, staff is saying that there would be no tax liability on that?
I don't think that's what they're saying, but the nature of the question, Mr. Blue, I guess he'll have asked you to answer that, is this is a unique transaction. We're taking city-owned land that we've currently used for what I guess I would describe as a suburban-style transit center in the heart of the city, and we're selling it for a more appropriate urban use, but very appropriately for not only a transportation perspective, but also legal requirements because of the federal involvement is we still need to provide the bus service, hopefully increase the bus service over time. So there will still be some restrictions on the land relative to having access to bus service, but they're going to be taking this land, which is now publicly owned, making it privately owned with those restrictions, with the proposed GIPLET, but eventually it's going to go fully back on the tax rolls because this building we hope is going to be there for a long period of time. Paul Blue?
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, because of the requirements for the Federal Transit Administration for us to retain in some control and use of the site is going to require us to be in a lease condition. When we enter into a lease condition, that invariably will cause us to engage in a government property lease excise tax situation. By virtue of the nature of the development, as Mr. Kreider mentioned, some of the expenses of building in a constrained site and with high density, the success of the project financially requires the support of the GPLAT in place to make it a viable project. But eventually it will come, the residential tower will come back out onto the tax rolls.
Well, what I heard earlier, if I may, Mayor, was that there would be no tax liability on this. I mean, did I not hear that from staff? Did staff not, did you not say that?
That would be, that would, and I appreciate, I know there's a lot of people on the phone, so it may be difficult. Currently, there's no tax liability because it's a government-owned site, so there's no taxes being paid now. If we support this. Okay, so no, I'm going to make sure it's clear. If we support this item, immediately it won't go back on the tax roll because of the GIPLET, but eventually it would, because it'll be a privately owned building. Once the GIPLET period is done, it will go back onto the tax rolls and hopefully generate significant resources for the city, county, school districts long into the future. But for the short run, it will continue to not produce property taxes because of the GIPLET. Mr. Blue, what did I do wrong? What did I say wrong?
No, you're accurate, Mayor, members of the council. Also, it will produce excise tax revenues. So there will actually be net new revenues starting in the 9th year of the project.
I get all the talk. I understand all that, but I think the question that Vice Mayor asked earlier was, what would have been the tax liability on this? And what would it be? I mean, if you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. I mean, I think it's a simple question, and it's more of a question of trying to figure out what it is.
Currently, or if this motion were to succeed?
Well, if the motion, I mean, if you were to build on it, currently, the city of Phoenix owns it, you don't pay tax. I got it. But what I'm saying is, Councilman, Vice Mayor Waring asked, what would the tax liability have been on that?
Yeah, so the Councilman Waring, I don't mean to speak for him, but I suggested that instead of doing a project like this with a development agreement that includes a GIPLET, is that we just do an RFP and sell the land because it would immediately go on the tax rolls. And
it wasn't possible.
Well, I'm not trying to get into a long debate. I'm just kind of curious what the tax liability would have been. That's it.
Okay, so what is the tax liability?
It's an innocuous question.
I mean, the question is, would it have been on a 30-story residential tower or something else that more realistically would be built without a GIPLET?
Well, I've never built a building that big. I don't know what is and what isn't really. What it would be on this project?
No, it's a fair question, but they're trying to figure out what is the comparison. We're going to compare this proposal to what?
No, I'm not asking for any comparison at all. I'm saying, what would the tax liability be? Look, I'll extend it with this. I can tell you there's no one wanting to answer it for whatever reason. I don't get it, but I'll drop it. The question was really simple. What would the tax liability be on this building? Period.
We're gonna make a good faith effort at this, Councilman. Paul Blue.
Mayor, members of the council, while the project has not been developed, so we only have estimates, but we believe this number will range somewhere between $600,000 in property tax up to $800,000 or $900,000. But until it's been valued, and that is the range of what we know right now.
That's all I was asking, and I think that's where Vice Mayor Waring was going as well. It was just a simple question, but okay, I got it. Thank you, Mayor.
Hey, Mayor, before we vote on it, I have a question.
Please.
Really a comment. I just really want to thank our staff and David Kreider for all their outreach. I mean, this project has support from the Phoenix Elementary School, the Citizens Transit Commission, the Roosevelt and Evans Churchill Neighborhood Association. It's going to bring about 600 new residents to downtown Phoenix, and we really need those residents in downtown. So I just really want to thank you for reaching out and making sure that all these communities and all the stakeholders were involved in this process.
Thank you very much. All right. Without further comments or questions, roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, so the item passes on a 6-2 vote, excuse me. Although I know Councilman Williams would have supported if she were here, but she had to sneak out. But so 6-2 officially, and we can figure out where she would have been. But anyway, 6-2 vote. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval item 53.
Second. Motion and second on 53, life insurance services contract. Councilman.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is an item that recently went through the efficiency subcommittee, and I want to thank the city manager for all his hard work on this particular item. This is the life insurance contract for the city of Phoenix, and due to the efforts to enter into a new contract, this is going to be a savings of, I believe, approximately $355,000 annually. So that's big savings. That's what we're talking about. Again, we keep pushing, and we can find these savings to help address the potential budget deficit. So thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
Mayor, I would just want to recognize Assistant Human Resources Director Mary Kyle, who really was the one who put this together and is working on several of these. And thank you for those comments. But Mary's done the hard work.
Thank you, Mary. Another staff superstar. We appreciate your excellent work. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Item 55, move approval.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, I think that passed on a 7-1 vote. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval item 56.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Leonard Clark, you have a comment on the Deer Valley Aquifer Storage and Recovery Well Program Design Services.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council of Phoenix, for letting me speak. My name is Leonard Clark, and I live in the city of Phoenix. And a lot of us who've lived in the city of Phoenix all of our lives, like myself, we've been concerned with quality of water. So what I'm saying is I strongly support this, but I also hope you will keep up the good work in trying to monitor our water. I mean, we've had problems with West Valley cancer clusters in the past, the poisonous plume over by Motorola on 52nd Street, and their other factory in Scottsdale. So let's hope that these groundwater supplies that we are saving are not violated anymore by corporate polluters who know that they are not governed, in fairness to you, by a Arizona Department of Environmental Quality staff that takes its marching orders from politicians who care more about corporations than they do about water quality. So I strongly support this. Over in Deer Valley, where I live, all of us are familiar by Metro Center, where this plant is at. It's very important because many of our children are being born with autism, with deformities. Our water quality should be sacred, and I hope you will not let anything deter you from making sure, as we store this water, that the quality of this water is preserved. Thank you.
Thank you very much appreciated. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yeah.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval item 62.
As correct.
I'm out of
As
this.
corrected, excuse me. I'm out, so. And I think we have two conflicts, so would you mind seconding it?
Second.
Right? Everybody, no comments?
Potential
I do,
conflict.
yeah, I do have some comments or questions for staff.
Okay, Councilwoman Gallego. We're here, sorry, we're just waiting for staff to get here.
Sorry.
That's all right. Councilwoman Gallego?
We have had a lot of pedestrian fatalities recently in the city of Phoenix, and it's an area of concern for all of us in the council. And so I just wanted to see if the local municipalities that are involved in this vote had any concerns about traffic safety near the schools in question.
Councilwoman Gallego, Vice Mayor, I'd like to ask Brad Wright, who is the construction manager for the schools and has been working with municipalities, to answer your question.
Councilmember Gallego and Vice Mayor Waring, my company does represent Great Hearts as their owner's representative in the construction of these schools and other schools. We start at the very beginning of the project with the school and helping them identify a site, and one of the things that's important to Great Hearts is that they fit into the community and the neighborhood in which they operate and educate kids. And so we start at the beginning of the project, and one of the first things we do when we get a site plan together is hire a traffic engineer and have them perform a traffic engineering analysis, traffic impact analysis. And then we work with the city, and we did on each of these 4 schools, to work with the city to make sure that we addressed issues like safety, queuing, loading, parking, to make sure that those issues were addressed, and I can tell you that they were.
Okay. And does the local community have any design considerations or concerns about these projects, or is the local community supportive?
They are supportive. We're still working through the design process on the second two, but they've reviewed First Cut, and you know, we like to work with the community to make sure that we are meeting the design standards.
Great. And then could you tell us a little bit about the population these schools will serve?
So the schools will serve, the schools, the makeup of the schools will look very much like the communities that they serve. The 2 new schools are in South Chandler and in Goodyear, and the makeup of those schools will look very much similar to the communities that they are.
Right. And do you have any information about the demographics in those communities?
I don't have that. I didn't bring that with me. I'm sorry.
And do we consider diversity when we pick the schools?
We always look at the demographics of the school, but the consideration is that we're a conduit issuer, so obviously the loans that are made are by bondholders, and they're looking financially at the transactions based on the merits of the revenue coming in and the stability of the school.
Thank you.
That's it? Okay. Thank you. All right, we have several people on the phone, so those of you who are looking at just the 2 of us, there's actually more. But it does sound like a good Beatles song. I should write that one up. All right, Leonard Clark had a card. I apologize. Leonard Clark.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Leonard Clark, and I really appreciate the fact that I can stand here and be allowed to testify, because like people in Hong Kong right now, that's what they're protesting for. So,
yes.
As you know, we've always had our running disagreement about what charter schools are, and before I do that, I would like to thank the hardworking people of the Industrial Development Authority of Phoenix. They have to come to you for final authority, the 9 of you, including our mayor. I would just like to say that corporate charter schools can come to you and they can get almost, if not tax-free, sweet tax-free funding like they're going to ask for today, and I'm confident, unfortunately, that all of you will vote in favor, and I know you're doing it conscientiously, so I respect your vote as I respect the people on the other side here. I have many friends who have children in charter schools. My problem is this: until the school boards of Phoenix Union High School District, Glendale Elementary School District, all of our districts, when they can come to you, the parents, instead of having to knock on hundreds of thousands of doors, trying to get the voters of Arizona to approve more taxes, to have better schools, public schools for our children, and who, by the way, have to accept, rightly so, all children who come to their doorstep. If you're autistic, if you're disabled in any other way, physically, cognitively, they will accept you. Now, we have charter schools going through our Industrial Development Authority, coming to you 9 members, Pleasant, today, asking for almost $85 million in tax-free funding. I know good work is done by charter schools, but to call it competition is not correct, because no school board members can come here and get $85 million from you, because the citizens in their districts would scream bloody murder about that. So I'm just asking you to not approve it. I know that you will. Thank you for letting me speak. And with all due respect to my corporate charter school friends, it is not public education. You have no parentally elected school boards. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, they normally have to come to you, but not today. You want to explain why?
I also will be declaring a potential conflict in this item and will not be participating.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mayor? Or Vice Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman DeCiccio.
No, I mean, we get into this discussion every time the merits of charter schools. I mean, what it is, it's really about giving individuals and parents the right and the ability to choose the school of their choice. They're a school of their choice for their children, and that's really what it comes down to. And they've been great investments for the city of Phoenix. Not one of them has been turned back. Not one of them has gone in default. They've been great investments with education in our community. I believe there are, if you look at even the charter schools, the basis schools, 3 of the top 10 high schools in the entire country are in the state of Arizona, and they're charter schools. So, we can get into the discussion of, who they allow, who they don't allow in. They always allow individuals in there. It's done in a lottery because there's a huge waiting list of parents who want to get their kids in these schools. So I'm very proud of the fact that we've always and consistently supported the private charter school movement, and I'm very happy we're going to be moving this forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, ready for roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor. Pastor. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
Brad, very nice article on the Arizona Republic Sports page. Aye. Okay, can he call it or I call it? Okay, it was 5 to 0. By 5 to 0, it passes.
Back
to
in the
Mayor.
game, the bare minimum. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Mayor, I'm going to move items 70 through 80, holding out items 75 and 77.
Second.
Your motion and a second. Any cards on this item? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval, item 75.
Second.
Your motion and second on 75. Mr. Clark, you are up on 75. Do you wish to provide testimony on this item? It is the item concerning the 2015-20 Consolidated Plan, Annual Action Plan, and an analysis of impediments to fair housing. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Leonard Clark. I live in District 1 of the City of Phoenix. Thank you for letting me speak. A lot of people just pass this by and say, okay, Leonard Clark's getting up, talking again. It's just an automatic thing, roll of the eyes. But, this is very important what you're doing. And I'm sure you'll probably all vote for it. I couldn't think of why you would not vote for fair housing. In this action plan, a former president of Glendale Community College over in another city went to buy a house, and because of the color of her skin, it looked like, she was denied a house. They didn't know they were denying the president or future president of Glendale Community College at the time because of the color of her skin, but because of our federal laws that try to stop this discrimination, it was brought to attention, and hopefully, I believe she was allowed to move into the house. So people are so used to having these things, maybe we start taking them for granted, but they shouldn't be, because in many other countries, it might be your religion, it might be the color of your skin, your religious, all these things, religious beliefs, they exclude you. So I'm hoping you'll vote for this, and if you do, I applaud you, and thank you for letting me have the honor of speaking.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Next item is item 77, and I move to approve the draft IFP and WRA fee update as recommended by the Transportation Infrastructure Subcommittee with additional revisions to the Levine Storm Drainage fee as recommended by staff.
Mayor, potential conflict.
Thank you very much, Councilman. We have a motion. Do we have a second on, that was a long way of saying the impact fee item. So we're voting on impact fees. So it was a motion with the amendment relative to storm drainage, particularly in the South Mountain Levine area as an addition. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Do we have a second? Comments or questions by members of the council? Councilwoman Gallego, please.
Thank you very much. Parts of my district that are included in this impact fee area were hit very hard by the storm, so I had voted against this at committee and asked staff to look into this agenda item, and we did find that there was approved infrastructure in the Levine area master drainage plan, so I just want to thank them for that hard work and making sure that we do the absolute best job we can to keep individuals safe as they create new community, or the future homeowners of Phoenix safe. So appreciate your hard work as we look and do everything we can to keep our residents safe in the city of Phoenix. We're going to have a lot of big discussions about water infrastructure, stormwater infrastructure, flood management, and I think this is a better plan as a result of our review at committee, so thank you for your help in that area.
Thank you very much. Other comments or questions by members of the council? I just want to compliment Councilwoman Gallego for, again, showing leadership to get these additional important items in this plan for purposes of future storm drainage issues. It was your leadership that got us SBA to get their disaster assistance here. I know there's many other plans in the works, but thank you for your strong advocacy of the people of South Mountain and Levine. Any other comments or questions relative to the proposed impact fee plan? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? So I have one no. Councilman DeCiccio has a potential conflict. Do we have enough? I guess we're going to have to take a roll call. I apologize. Just to make sure we have enough votes. Roll call.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, so the item passes on a 6-1 vote. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Is item 81, motion to approve per the NHD subcommittee recommendation and adopt the related ordinance.
We have a motion. Oh, yeah, I do public hearing first, then motion. I apologize. So on item 81, I'm now going to open the public hearing. Are there any cards on item number 81? Is anyone in the audience here to speak on item number 81, which is a proposal related to propane sales? Going once, going twice. We will now close the public hearing. Vice Mayor, a motion, please.
Motion to approve per the NHD subcommittee recommendation and adopt the related ordinance.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments by members of the council? Councilman Gates.
Yes, Mayor. I appreciate the efforts that have been made on this, but what this is going to do is remove the use permit hearing that can be held, and that's something that's very important to me, that I not be supporting taking away the right of the neighbors to participate in a use permit hearing. So I'm going to be voting against this item.
Okay, any other comments by members of the council? Mr. Stevenson, this went through the Village Planning Committee process?
Mayor, members of council, yes, it did. It was approved by 6 village planning committees, approved with modifications by 1 other, and the village chairs of 8 village planning committees elected not to hear the item.
Okay, so that was the Village Planning Committee. Councilman Gates is going to vote against it for the item he mentioned. Any other comments by members of this council? Councilwoman Gallego, please.
Could you speak to some of the regulation that still exists on propane?
Certainly, Mayor, Councilwoman Gallego. The bulk of the regulations for these propane canisters, these are the 5-gallon ones that you commonly buy outside of a Home Depot or Circle K for your barbecue grill or your heater. And the bulk of those regulations are contained within the fire code. The fire department goes out and inspects them. These regulations, when those outside bins were created, there were some duplicate regulations that were put in the zoning ordinance at that time. This is removing those duplicate regulations, just leaving it in the fire code and removing that use permit hearing, because it is something that has gained much more public acceptance from that standpoint and is regulated by the fire department, so there's not a need for a public hearing.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments by members of the council? I'm actually going to, I think Councilman Gates made some excellent points, and I'm going to, at this time, prepare to vote against the proposed item. I support the fact that it remains in the fire code, but I would feel more comfortable keeping this still as a use permit requirement. Any other comments by members of this council? We have a motion in favor. We have a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
No.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
No. So the motion passes on a 5-3 vote. Next item is item number 82, auto title loan establishments. I'm also going to hold a public hearing on that item. The public hearing is now open. Do we have any comments or on? Maybe the staff could briefly go over would it be appropriate during the public hearing portion of it to ask the question about? Okay, so any member of the public here on item number 82, auto title loan establishments, going once, going twice? Okay, Mr. Stevenson, you briefly brief the council on what would item 82 do? What would do differently than the current rules and regulations relative to auto title loan establishments?
So, Mayor, members of council, this is a proposed text amendment to Section 202, which is the definitions portion of the zoning ordinance, to fix a definition of auto title loan establishment. The mayor and council approved quarter-mile spacing requirements and a definition for auto title loan establishments approximately 2 years ago. As part of that definition, there was a 30-day time limit that was put in there. Since that time, we have had a title loan establishment that came forward that their duration of the loans is 6 months. So they were able to successfully petition the Board of Adjustment so that they did not have to meet those quarter-mile spacing requirements. So this proposed amendment fixes that definition, so we'll go back to enforcing our quarter-mile spacing requirements for all future auto title loan establishments.
Thank you for that excellent explanation. Do we have a motion on, public hearing is now closed. Do we have a motion on item number 82?
Motion to approve per the NHD subcommittee recommendations and adopt the related ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Pastor. Yes. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. That appears to finish our business for the formal portion of the city council. So the formal portion of the city council is now adjourned.